top partners. They're one of our favorite partners in all of the Yes Education's institution network. They are a fantastic institution in Australia and really, really highly recognized by students in Australia. According to QILT, which is the quality indicators for learning and training in Australia, students at Kaplan Business School rate their education experience at KBS higher than every public school in Australia. So that's a really great stat and a great feat achieved by Kaplan Business School. And they have campuses in all the major cities in Australia. They recently opened a campus in Perth that we're really happy to talk to everyone about today as well. Today, a lot of you may know already a little bit about KBS, but for those partners that don't know, we'll give you a little bit of a refresher and talk a little bit about employability today, scholarships, and so on. So our special guest today is Mr. Yung Lim, who is the regional manager for Asia for KBS. And we're really happy to once again welcome him here today. So how are you doing, Yung? Oh, I think I've lost your voice.
Okay, there we go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
That's it.
Okay. Yeah.
Got it.
Oh, okay.
Got it.
Thanks. Yeah, I was just saying, talking to myself. Thanks for the intro and thanks for the invite to another one of your webinars. And thank you everyone for your time. And yeah, should we get started now?
Oh, but yeah, before we get started, I'll just let everyone know that Yung will do a presentation for Kaplan Business School first, and then after he's finished, we'll start a Q&A. So yeah, please make use of the opportunity to ask myself or Yung any questions in regards to Kaplan Business School, or any other questions related to study in Australia as well. So yeah, have a think, and then carefully listen to the presentation, and then we'll answer your questions. I'll pass it on to you now, Yung.
Yes. So do remember to ask questions. I'm sure I'll try to keep my presentation short and sweet. I'm sure you guys don't want to hear me keep babbling along. So if any specific questions, please note it, put it down, and we'll have some time at the end to hopefully answer as many questions as we can. All right. Okay.
Perfect.
So yep. Thanks, Bo. So I'll quickly get started. So like Bo said, my name is Yung, and I'm the regional manager for Southeast Asia. The first few slides, I guess, we'll be talking about why study in Australia. I think if a lot of you have been recruiting students for Australia, you probably know why. And during this sort of pandemic and crisis, I think the market, once the border reopens, will recover, I think, very, very well. Given that how Australia has handled the situation, I think it will be a very good thing once all this is over for the reputation of the country. Yeah. And with post-study work rights is also one of the main attractions students choose to come to study in Australia. Students that do a course 2 years or more basically can stay in Australia for another 2 or 3 years to work full-time. And we can also have a discussion about post-study work rights later during the Q&A session about with the current situation with online studies, and what is the government thinking of, and what is their plan to move forward with this. All right. So who we are as a business? Well, Kaplan Business School, we are basically a part of the Kaplan family. In whichever country you are, maybe you've heard about Kaplan education before. We are part of a global network of institutions. All right. So across the world, we basically have 400 locations in 30 different countries. And each year, we actually graduate close to 1 million students. Okay, so when your students choose to come and study with us, they know that they are coming to a very reputable institution, and an institution that is globally connected, and therefore their qualification that they complete with us will also be a globally recognized qualification. All right. I'll quickly go through some of the key advantages when your students study with us. Obviously, we've mentioned about the globally recognized provider, and as Bo kindly mentioned earlier, with uh, student support, that is where we are really strong at. Okay, as you can see here, individual support, and you're not just a number, means that our class sizes are actually quite small compared to, let's say, a university class size. On average, we have about 25 to 30 students in a class. Yeah, and therefore students will have a more nurtured environment. They get more attention, not only from their lecturers, but from our other student support as well outside their class, which I will talk about a little bit later as well. Okay. Uh, at the bottom here, you see here real world relevance. We also create a very practical learning environment. Okay, that means that a lot of our lecturers, for example, are industry experienced people. All right, so they are a lot of them are coming as consultants or have worked in the industry, in their relevant industry for a long time. And when they come and teach our students, they bring that industry experience into the classroom as well. Okay, a lot of the classes that we do are also really sort of workshop type classes instead of pure lecture and tutorials. What that means is that the classrooms will be very interactive. Okay, students will have the chance to really provide their feedback, or provide really and provide their different experiences, share their different experiences, and this makes the classroom very interactive. There's a lot of communication with their peers as well as their lecturers. All right. Another point is also every student that study with us will have an opportunity to also get work experience, okay, in the industry of their choice. That means that if they're studying hospitality, we will have a chance for them to place them into industry, whether it's a work placement or an internship, to make sure that they get that practical skills as well when they're studying with us. All right. Okay. So at KBS, we do have what we call a national curriculum. That means that we teach the same courses and the same subjects throughout all our campuses in Australia. Okay, last year we had 4 campuses, but this year we've added a new one in Perth. Yeah, so we are starting. Classes will start in Perth this July intake. We are actually starting in next week will be our July intake orientation. So that will be the first few classes that will be starting in Perth. Okay, and because we have a national curriculum, all the subjects are the same. As I mentioned, the prices are the same. So students can actually transfer within each within each campus if they want to. All right. So for example, a student can study 1 year in Sydney, and if their circumstances bring them or allow them to move to another state, they can just easily transfer their course over to Adelaide, Perth, Brisbane, or Melbourne at any time, as long as it's not in the middle of a trimester. Okay, so not a lot of students do this, but students do have the option to move campuses during their studies with us. All right, and Adelaide, and we expect Perth to be quite popular in the next few years as well, because they are considered sort of regional areas, regional cities, in which if students complete a course in Adelaide or Perth, they actually get 3 years post-study work rights instead of the 2 years if they do so in Sydney, Melbourne, or Brisbane. Okay, as you would expect, Sydney, Melbourne are still our 2 most popular campuses for international students, but Adelaide has grown quite significantly for the past 6 to 12 months, and we hope the same will happen for Perth as well. Okay. And I think also worth mentioning that all these campuses are located in the CBD. All right, so it's very easy for students to access and to come to campus, and obviously very close to public transport as well. All right, and another thing to note is that for Perth campus, because it's a new campus, we have started with not our full suite of courses, but we've started with our postgraduate courses, namely our MBA, which is our most popular course, as well as our Masters of Business Analytics. All right. Okay, so coming back to what I mentioned earlier about student support, and I will go through the three main support that we provide our students. So the first one here is student experience. All right, so obviously every reputable school will have a very, very cohesive student experience team. And with us, every time student comes to campus, we will have 4 to 5 student experience officers at the front counter to help them with all things related to Australian life, basically. We help them with their timetables, we help them with their subject enrollments, and we also organize different events and activities to get that campus atmosphere, to get students settled in into campus, into their life within Australia. So anytime students need any assistance or help, these are the first point of contact usually for the students to get that particular assistance and to make sure that their studies and their life in Australia goes well. They can always use our services here. Okay. The next one is Career Center. Career Center is a big thing that we do uh, for our students to get that practical experience that I mentioned earlier. So the main thing that Career Center do is we help students organize internships and work placements. Okay, again, all 5 campuses, we have a dedicated Career Center. All right, we've comprises of 1 to 2 career officers that basically sit down with the student one-on-one to assess their career opportunities, to help them achieve their career goals. Okay, whenever a student study with us, typically it's 2 to 3 years, and students can use this service as early as year 1. Okay, a lot of students think that, oh, I'll wait to after I finish my studies to get a work placements, to do an internship. But here we actually try to sort of encourage students to explore these careers, well, their career opportunities as early as their first year. Okay, we don't just throw them into the deep end. Basically, before we send students to an internship or work placements, we also make sure that they have appropriate sort of preparations in terms of interview skills, in terms of tidying up their cover letter, their resume, to make sure that they have the best chance to succeed. All right. And this service is not only for our current students. Even after students graduate, all right, they can still come back and use this service as an alumni. And this is really useful because we know that a lot of students apply for their post-study work 485, and some of them have issues or difficulty looking for their dream job. Again, coming back to our career service, we can offer them different sort of skills to upgrade themselves, or offer them different networking events for them to go to get the appropriate contact to get into industry and so on. Okay. This is just a few stats that we have for the past few years. 100% satisfaction rate from our host company from 2018 to 2019. That means that all the students that we send to our host companies to do an internship or work placement, they all come back with 100% satisfaction rate. Okay, this means that, like I said, we do prepare our students quite thoroughly before we actually put them into a particular internship or work placement. Okay, and this stat is also quite interesting. You can see that 1 in 2 students that do an academic internship actually get offered ongoing employment. That means they get absorbed, they get a job at the internship company that they did their internship with. So whilst the career center or the internship or the work placement is for students to get work experience in Australia, it's also a very, very good opportunity for students to showcase what they can do to potential employers. And a lot of students kickstart their career in Australia through our academic internship program. Once they get the experience, the companies like them, the companies like what they do, a lot of them actually get their first job and first opportunity with these host companies. All right. Last but not least, I'll touch on our Academic Success Center. Obviously, the main reason the student will come to study with us is to complete their qualification, complete a master's degree or a bachelor degrees with us. So as much as we can, we want to make sure that students are getting good results and passing their subjects. So our Academic Success Center again is available in all 5 campuses in our library. Okay, and this is the department that helps our students with anything academic related. Okay, we have English language support if they need to. We run different workshops to help them understand about the study lifestyle, the study culture here in Australia. We make sure that they are well versed with Harvard referencing, with the academic reading and research skills that they need in order to get the results, the academic results that they want. We also invite our high distinction students to come back and tutor our current students that need that additional help. Sort of like a mentorship program, again, to make sure that our students are getting the appropriate support. Okay, when it's time close to exam period, we also have different workshops that we run, again, to make sure students get the best out of their study time and make sure that they tackle their exams appropriately. All right. Okay, so moving into talking about our courses and our start dates. At Kaplan Business School, all the courses that we are about to talk about, they are all, we all have 3 main intake dates, okay, which is trimester 1 in March, trimester 2 in July, and trimester 3 in November. Okay, so students can start at any trimester. Yeah, so typically trimester 1 and 2, the March and July intake are what we call compulsory trimesters, in which students will do the either 2 or 3 subjects. Yeah, whereas trimester 3, sometimes students will do a lesser study load, and in some circumstances they also can take trimester 3 off as a holiday as well. Okay, so I just want to mention here that our July trimester is still open. Okay, this year, for the July intake, we actually have a late enrollment up until 17 August, which is week 4 of the trimester. Okay, the reason we can do this, we can extend the date to accept late enrollment students, is because our academics, our teachers have agreed that they will run extra bonus classes to make sure that the late enrolling students are kept up to can catch up with their studies with the rest of the students. Okay, so if any of you that, especially with the onshore agents, you can still submit applications up until, I think, the first week of August. All right. And next, we'll move on to our courses, and these are our undergraduate courses. Yeah, so as you can see there, we have a Bachelor of Business General, we have a Bachelor of Business Accounting, we have Hospitality and Tourism Management, Management Marketing, as well as a Diploma of Business. Okay, our Diploma of Business, just to start with that first, our Diploma of Business is a 1-year diploma. It's not a vocational diploma, it is a higher ed diploma. Students that complete our 1-year diploma can jump into the 2nd year of our bachelor degree. Okay, so when they do that, it means that 1-year diploma plus 2 years degree is they still complete their bachelor degrees within 3 years. All right. The main reason students would do that is because our Diploma of Business has a 5.5 IELTS entry requirement, which is a lower English requirement compared to our Bachelor of Business, which requires a 6.0 IELTS equivalent to get into the course. All right. I think it's worth mentioning that all the accounting courses that we'll talk about, whether it's a bachelor degree or a master's degree, are all recognized and accredited by CPA, CA, and ACCA. All right. So as you can see here, pretty standard, a Bachelor of Business. This is how it looks like in Australia, I guess, similar to a lot of universities. Year 1, Year 2, and Year 3, students complete 8 subjects each. And what that means in a trimester system is that typically in March, they'll do 3 subjects. July, they'll do 3 subjects. And November, they'll do 2 subjects. And they'll complete their 8 subjects within that year. Okay. If they complete the diploma, obviously they jump into year 2 and 3 of our bachelor degree. Okay. A very common question that I get is that can students take November off as a bachelor student? The answer is yes. So what happens there is that if a student does 4 subjects in March, 4 in July, they can take November off as a holiday, as a break, as a summer break. And obviously students can go back to their home country, visit family, or stay in Australia. And during that period, they can actually have the option to work full time as well. All right. Next off is our postgraduate courses. As you can see here, we have quite an extensive list of postgraduate courses, but most of our international students will be focusing on the master's courses, all right? We do have graduate certificate and graduate diploma courses nested within our master's course, but typically a graduate certificate or a graduate diploma is only 8 months to a year or a year and a half. Okay, so most students are interested in a master's course that is minimum 2 years, because that will be the one that will grant them post-study work rights after they complete our course. Okay, I won't go through all our master's courses. Yeah, today I'll focus on the Masters of Business Analytics, which is our latest master's course, as well as our MBA, which is our flagship course. Okay, but with the Masters of Accounting and Masters of Professional Accounting, I'll quickly touch on that. Our Masters of Professional Accounting are for students that already have some accounting background, that want to do postgraduate in accounting. That one is suitable for them. Okay, whereas our Masters of Accounting are for students from any other discipline. Okay, students don't need to have any prior knowledge or any prior studies in accounting to do a Masters of Accounting. Okay, the 2-year course is the Masters of Accounting, whereas the Masters of Professional Accounting is 1 year and 4 months. All right. Okay, so like I said, I'll focus on the Masters of Business Analytics. This is, like I said, one of our newer courses. We just started this course in March. It is a course that is not a very hardcore sort of data analytics course. It's not a very hardcore mathematics or IT course. Yeah, it's still very much related to the business area. In this course, basically, we are preparing students. We are teaching students of how to collect useful information through data analytics and use that information to make key business decisions. All right. Actually, I'll quickly break here to maybe show you a video of the Masters of Business Analytics from our head teacher here.
Businesses big and small are using the vast amount of data now available to them to make better business decisions. And to analyze this data, we need business analytics. At its core, business analytics is using data to gain insights into customer and business trends, as well as making decisions for business strategic advantage. So how is business analytics different from data science? In a nutshell, data science is the broad process of using scientific methods to extract information from large and complex data sets. Business analytics is about using and presenting this data to business. In Australia, non-IT business jobs with an analytics understanding are the fastest growing jobs in data science. This is because businesses need people who combine a basic understanding of data science and analytics on the one hand with business knowledge and soft skills on the other. And career outcomes go beyond being a business analyst. We are therefore excited to introduce the Master of Business Analytics, where students will be taught to be what businesses need and lack. Someone with an understanding of the technical tools used to analyze data, together with the relevant business and soft skills to communicate the importance of that data to business. Firstly, there are no lectures or tutorials. just workshops and activities. Secondly, our workshop facilitators are not just academically qualified, they have an intimate knowledge of business analytics in industry. Thirdly, we provide opportunities to practice soft skills together with business case studies. And finally, we have intimate links with the analytics communities, both domestic professional organisations and international. Therefore, our Master of Business Analytics will equip you with in-demand technical, business and soft skills. It will future-proof your career in business and introduce you to a proactive academic and business community.
Okay, yeah, so hopefully that video gave you a snapshot of what the course is about. Yeah, I think since we've launched it in March, it's been very, very popular. As you hear from the video, it is one of the fastest growing job demand and industry in Australia and worldwide. So we are preparing students, and the students that we get typically in this area are students sometimes that from the IT background, they need the sort of business knowledge or the soft skills from business coming in to study this course, or students that are from a different business background that want to learn a little bit more about the analytics area to further their career options in the future. Okay, so it is a very exciting course, as mentioned by our head teacher there, Anna. We are in this particular course, we really focus on just workshop classes, which means that students, again, like I mentioned earlier, students will have a lot of sort of interaction with their lecturers, with their peers, to learn from not only the teaching staff, but also their classmates, and from potentially different industry and from different education backgrounds as well. Okay. Next, I think, just quickly go back to the slides, and we'll come back for more videos a bit later, is our MBA. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, our MBA is our flagship course. It is our most popular and fastest growing course for the past 2.5 years. Okay, our MBA comprises of 12 subjects, and it's also 2 years in duration. Okay, and I think I forgot to mention with the courses that earlier, that all the courses that we have at KBS all have the academic internship included in the courses. Okay, so as you can see here, the MBA with these 12 subjects here, it mentions 1 specialization and 2 specializations. Overall, our MBA have 7 different specializations to choose from, and I think that what make our MBA really, really unique. These are the 7 specializations that we have. We have Women in Leadership, Tourism and Hospitality Leadership, Project Management, Health Services Management, Digital Management, Entrepreneurship, and International Leadership. Okay, what that means is that when a student studies an MBA with us, they get to choose a specialization which can really relate to what their previous background is, or what they want to go into in the future. Okay, since having specializations, we really attract students from a lot of different backgrounds. For example, project management is actually our most popular sort of specialization. It attracts students from engineering background, IT background, marketing background, because a lot of these in these industries, a lot of the work are project related. Okay, so for example, your student has been an engineer or studied engineering for the past in their past life, and they've been an engineer for the past 5 to 6 years. Okay, what they need to take the next step to further their career is actually get different skills, management skills, leadership skills, in order for them to advance, right? So by doing an MBA, okay, they will get those skills, but at the same time, they can also get a specialization in project management, which is highly related to what they want to do in the future. Okay, same thing goes with health services management. We get a lot of nursing students, aged care students, even students that study childcare coming into this course, because it's highly related to what they want to do, and coming from a different study background, whether it's an undergraduate qualification, they are getting new practical skills within like the leadership management skills within MBA environment. Okay, women in leadership obviously is also a very interesting one. We are the first private education provider to offer this specialization. It will focus on obviously helping young female professionals to navigate through maybe male dominant industries and help them achieve their career goals. But it's not only for women. This particular specialization is also for students that maybe want to go in a HR, a human resource management area, where they can learn about diversity in the workplace and how to manage that diversity and understand that diversity is very important for for a successful workplace and a successful organization. Okay. So students can actually choose up to 2 specializations. All right, that means an MBA student can choose to do project management and digital management, for example. And this is one of the key changes we've done this year. In the past 2 years, students can only do 1 specialization, but due to popular demand from our students, we've actually extended down that they can do 2 specialization, and this doesn't change their course duration and their cost price. Okay, so even though they are doing 1 specialization or 2 specializations, they will still complete in 2 years. The cost, the price of their course will also still remain the same. All right. Okay, so that's all about our courses, and now I basically want to quickly go through obviously what's happening around the world right now during the COVID situation, and what Kaplan Business School are doing to help our students. And hopefully this can you can also describe this to your students and potential students to maybe convince them to study with us, whether it's online or whether to wait for the borders to reopen. Okay, so obviously during this pandemic time, we have changed all our classes to the online environment for our March intake that we had 4 months ago. Okay, so the good thing that I guess the good thing with us is that we do have a very, very extensive experience teaching online. Okay, Kaplan Business School, we've been delivering online for the past 7 years. Okay, so that means that we have established platforms, we have established course material that we can easily switch to the online environment. Okay, so that gave us quite a good advantage compared to maybe other institutes when we needed to make that switch. Okay, having said that, in July, the upcoming trimester, we will resume some face-to-face classes. Okay, not all, because again, our campuses have limited capacity to really host students face-to-face because of the social distancing rules. So some students will have the opportunity to come in to do face-to-face classes. And we anticipate that students, if they're doing 3 subjects, for example, they will be able to do 1 or 2 subjects face-to-face. Especially new students, we really encourage them to do at least 1 subject face-to-face, just to make sure that they come into campus, they are engaging with our staff members to make sure that they are tracking well during their studies. Okay. So the feedback that we got from our online classes that we did a survey 2 weeks ago was really good. And I think through the different measures that we did, which I'll mention now, students are well supported, even though some of them are doing and they're learning in our online platform and our online learning environment. Okay, so what I'll do, again, I'll come back to these points here, but I'll show you again some videos that we have about our online studies so that you get a better idea. Okay, we'll start with this video here.
Study online at Kaplan Business School with confidence. We've got you covered, now and into the future. Whether you study online or on campus, you'll have access to our world-class education with industry-leading support. Our our online learning programs focus on delivering a highly engaging and interactive educational experience.
Whether it is face-to-face class setup or learning online, Kaplan Business School truly supports their students. I have experienced that myself for the past trimesters that I've been studying my course with Kaplan.
Get the tools, guidance, and skills necessary for a successful career through Careers Central.
Or the Career Center, they helped me to find my first internship, so they are really, really helpful.
Studying online doesn't mean studying alone. You can attend live weekly webinars and collaborate with your peers in lively, interactive forums. Make the best use of your time and start working towards your goal now.
And I'll show you another one. This one is more on the platform that we use, okay?
What the MyKBS online learning platform is like. It's often hard to know what an online learning platform is like until you start your studies. So, let me show you the interactive platform I work with as an online MBA student at Kaplan Business School. Every week, there are different modules I can choose from, each offering a different way of engaging with the academic content. And I can access it whenever it suits me. I can start off with watching some videos, then read a textbook chapter or academic journal, or simply listen to a podcast. And they're all about this week's topic. I usually go through these during my commute to work. A fun way to see what you've learned is by taking the quiz. If you need to, you can then go back and revisit the content and take the quiz again. Literally all the resources I need for my studies are on MyKBS, so I don't have to buy any books or search the internet for additional information. Even though I'm studying online, I feel really connected with my peers. We all see each other during the live online MBA workshop. We participate in activities that are guided by experienced industry lecturers instead of sitting through long lectures. This interaction really brings the content to life. I find the online platform incredibly valuable for my own personal growth, as this is the place where we share our individual views and global experience as international students for each week's content. MyKBS is a truly easy-to-use platform and a one-stop for studying my MBA online with Kaplan Business School. From subject announcements and information to submitting your assessments and accessing a wide range of interactive learning materials. It's all here in MyKBS.
Okay, yeah, so hopefully again that gave you a better idea of what we're doing in terms in that online space. And I think one thing that is really important or that you can reiterate to your students is that online studies with us doesn't mean that students are self-studying or studying alone. It really means that because of the situation, we are moving to the online environment, but all the essential services or the essential support are still there for our students to access. Okay, so I'll quickly move through these points here. First and foremost is the financial hardship support that we've been allocating for our students, which had a total of we had a total of a $5 million budget. Okay, for our trimester 2 to help our students through this difficult period. Okay, the first 2 points there, the temporary tuition relief, the $750 is for all students. All right, students don't need to apply for a special consideration. Students don't need to apply for this particular relief fund. Basically, $750 is for all students that study with us in July will get automatically a $750 off their tuition fees. And this is for the new students as well as continuing existing students as well. Okay, the second one is our financial hardship support, which we have allocated to close to 2,000 students, an additional 1,500 of funds to help them through, again, through their studies. But this one was mainly for our existing students. Okay, so the So as you can see, a lot of our students actually had a total of 2,250 support in sort of tuition fee discounts, as well as different gift cards for them to help for them to get through this difficult period. Okay, for our upcoming November intake, after this July intake, very likely we will also have a different scheme if the pandemic continues, if the borders remain closed as well. Okay. In addition to that, we also introduce subject deposits for our new students, meaning that students have a bit more flexibility if they want to pay a subject deposit with us to secure a COE. Okay, this subject deposit, I think, is a one subject deposit in order to secure a COE for a future intake. All right. So we also have different payment plans for our students. That means that students, if they have difficulty sort of paying a lump sum upfront for their course fees, they can also apply for our different payment plans that we have developed over the past few weeks. Again, this is to make sure that we ease the burden of for the students financially. All right. Second one, the second point here with the online support of all essential services, I think it was mentioned in the video that even though we've moved to mainly an online environment, all the support, whether it's careers, whether it's academic success center, whether it's student experience, are still available for our students to access. It's a short phone call away. We also have different forums and chat lines that the students can access through MyKBS, or just simply writing them an email. Yeah. So one thing that, as you can see from the student testimonial, the short testimonial there for one of our students, is that we actually start having or placing students in virtual internships. Okay, I'm sure a lot of companies, our host companies that we work with, are also adapting to the sort of this situation, and a lot of students are actually getting internships even during this period. Yeah, they are just doing it virtually in a different way. Okay, so that doesn't mean, again, that doesn't mean that students are by themselves. All these services are still there, and even the internship and the career services are still there available for students, so they don't they're not losing out, so to speak. Yeah, so I even have students that are offshore, that are in their home country doing an internship with an Australian company virtually right now. Okay. I think the last time I spoke to them for the last trimester, we have arranged virtual internships for about 40 to 50 students, different students. Okay, so again, we are coming up with different ways or different ideas to get these services to our students. All right. The next point, the third point here, is the ebooks. Okay, or the academic journals that are available online. All right, so basically what we did in the start of March is that we removed all the prescribed textbooks that the students need. Okay, uh, that means physical textbooks. Okay, what we did is we actually subscribed to quite a few different online ebooks and online academic journals, okay, to make sure students have the resources that they need to complete their assessments and to do well in their assessments. Okay, so students, even though libraries are not open or they don't have that easy access to textbooks that they might have wished, they can still use these electronic books and electronic academic journals to go through their studies. Okay, so the fourth point here is the assessment leniency. Okay, obviously a lot of students, when they study with us or when they choose to study with us, they were expecting a face-to-face environment, but by moving towards an online environment, it might be very different for them. Okay, so we do have permission actually from TEXA to have some leniency in assessing their assessments. Okay, so we will have more supplementary assessments for all students that are studying online. That means that students will be given second and third chances to basically pass those assessments. Okay, and if they still didn't do that well in the assessment, they will not have a fail grade in their transcript if they choose to withdraw from their course. That means that if they didn't really do well at the end of the course, we will give them an option to withdraw quote unquote withdraw, that means that in their transcript it will say withdrawn but and not fail. So at least they won't have an academic penalty, yeah, if they didn't do well in that particular subject. All right, but obviously the first option is to provide them as much support, as much supplementary assessments to make sure that they get through that particular subject. All right, and the last point here is really related to the to their studies as well, is that every subject that we do, we will run bonus webinars. Okay, bonus webinars means that our academics will take their time to actually come up with bonus content, to do bonus sort of videos to make sure that students first understand the assessments, okay, and to make sure that students are also well aware of the assessments criteria. Okay, this is to make sure that students don't lose unnecessary points, and this bonus webinar will, there will be a minimum 3 bonus webinar for every subject, and that ties into my previous point as well on how we can also, like for the July intake, how we extended the late enrollment date up to 4 weeks is because of this bonus content or bonus webinars we'll be running for every subject to make sure students are catching up. All right. Again, yeah, end of the day, like I said before, you can always remind your students if you have a hard time convincing them to study online, just to remind them that online study doesn't mean that they are self-studying, they're studying by themselves. Students still log in at a particular time to access their classes. They still see their lecturers face to face. They still see their classmates. They still do activities face to face. Okay. Albeit through Zoom. Okay. Okay, so next is some of the resources that you can access, obviously, through our website, and I'll go through them. And I think I will summarize this, my presentation in a PDF, and all these are basically links that you can easily go through and click and access from our website for this information. So obviously our course fees here, but I'll also touch on our KBS scholarships. Okay, so we have Asia scholarship, and we have similar scholarship for all the different regions, okay, depending where the student is from. And these scholarships range for about 10% to 20% depending on which region the student comes from, okay. And this is our most common scholarship, the Asia Regional Scholarship, okay. Students need to achieve a 65% equivalent, that means a credit average in their previous studies to get this scholarship. And we also have a high achiever scholarship, and as the name suggests, this scholarship is for students that did really well in their previous studies. If your student is a distinction or high distinction students in their previous qualification, they can get a 30% scholarship through our high achievers. And we also have a latest one called our alumni scholarship. This is for students that studied in a Kaplan school before. Coming back to study with us, they automatically get 30% scholarship in 2020 if they commence in our trimester 2 or trimester 3 this year. Okay, so this includes Kaplan Business School students coming back to study with us, or students that study in another Kaplan course, for example, Kaplan English or Kaplan Pathways. If they're coming from another of our sister schools or sister institutes, they are also eligible for this 30% scholarship. Okay. Other than that, we also have a lot of very good resources in terms of course-specific materials, be it our MBA, business analytics that we talked about today, our postgraduate courses, our undergraduate courses. All the courses that we have, we actually have course-specific flyers. And if students want more detailed information on that, they can actually access these. Okay. I'll quickly show you how it looks like here on our website. As you can see here, this is our course fees area. And as you can see, our international course fees for this year, a bachelor degree will cost about 54,000 for the entire 3 years. And a master's course, and again, I'll focus on the 2-year courses. Masters of Business Analytics, about 42,000. 43,000. Yeah. And a Masters of Accounting, again, this is a 2-year course, about 43,000, and a Masters of Business Administration, that's about 45,000. Yeah. So our postgraduate courses generally is about 43 to 46,000. And just remember, all these prices are before the scholarship and before the financial help that we have for our students. Okay, and we also break it down by subject and annual course fees as well. And one useful resource is here. If you can go right at the top for agent resources, you will have course specific information. Even our latest Perth campus, we have a Perth specific guide for that as well. So these are this is the page that you can come to see different videos, to access different photos, and to use them, obviously, to show students if they want more specific information. Okay, the YouTube page that I used to show you all the videos earlier has also a great collection of videos, again, ranging from student testimonials and to course specific information, and some of the campus shots and some of the shots of our graduation are there as well. Okay. All right. So let's see what we have next. I think, yeah, so these 2 slides here basically, again, is related to our career center, because one of the most common questions that I get is that what type of host companies or employment partners do you work with? So we do have a range of up to 150 different host companies that we work with right now. Okay, and this will range from small to medium enterprises up until the bigger companies like your Marriott's, your PwC. We also work with the city of Sydney, the Brisbane city for a lot of our marketing students. With the hospitality students, obviously the Marriott, Novotel, Hilton. With accounting students, PwC, KPMG. Ultimately, again, when students want to do an internship or work placements, we will sit down with them to find out the best option for them. Okay, not every student will get the best experience from the biggest company, and not every students are suited for all a particular internship or a particular role. So we always sit down with them. We do the we do some career counseling with them to make sure that we put them into the one that will benefit them the most. Okay. Okay, so I think that's the end of my particular presentation, and I think we can now move on to some Q&A.
Yes, thank you very much, Yong, for that presentation. And God, there's so many selling points for Kaplan Business School, and it's really great to see the support that you're giving international students, particularly during this period. And you're definitely right about you know, the online courses that you provide. You've been doing online for a very long time, so I'd say that's a very strong prowess of Kaplan Business School. So I think you maintain the quality very well. So our agents can be assured of that quality is maintained. So I see I see some questions coming in. One of our Bhutanese agent has asked, overall 5.5 IELTS in diploma in business, and whether you know what the visa rate is for Bhutan. If you don't know, that's fine.
Oh yeah. I mean, hang on, is there an echo? Okay, so Bhutan is a relatively new market for us. I think so far we haven't had a lot of students from that area. But the good news is that I guess I think the last assessment with the risk assessment coming up from DHA, KBS is risk assessment level 1 institute. So we are more open to explore new markets right now. Yeah, and like I said, with Bhutan, we don't really have a figure. I think most of the Bhutanese students that we have studying with us now, we got them onshore. But that is definitely a market that we want to explore, and obviously, through your network there, maybe that's something that we can look at. But I believe with the 5.5 IELTS into our diploma, it shouldn't be a problem.
That's great. Yeah, Bhutan is an interesting one, and a lot of Bhutanese students do consider Perth as well. So it's good news to hear about the Perth campus.
Yes, so I heard, yeah, that's a very popular location for the Bhutanese students. So hopefully, yeah. So with Perth, I think I should have mentioned that a little bit clearer in the presentation. In Perth, we have started with two of our courses, which is the MBA and the Masters of Business Analytics for July. Okay, just to ease us into the market first, because obviously with the pandemic, we are not sure whether we can offer with the undergraduate courses as well as the accounting courses and fill up those classes. But in the near future, and fingers crossed by November and March next year, we will have our full suite of KBS courses in the Perth campus very soon.
That's great. One question we get as well for KBS is that for online courses, let's say I originally am choosing to study an MBA in Sydney. Will my teacher do the online class from Sydney, or would it be maybe organized in Melbourne or Brisbane or wherever? Is it where you originally applied to study? Is that where the teacher comes from?
Yeah, exactly. So think about this. Think about it like this. Like the classes are very much still like attending a physical class. It's just obviously with the situation, we need to do it face to face. So very much so, if the student is studying in Sydney, the lecturer is in Sydney. Yeah. You'll be logging to a class, not 100 people, like potentially like an online class where you have
Like
hundreds of people. It will be still like a class, like a regular class size, 25 students. Okay, you will see the lecturers. The lecturers will take attendance, yeah, and you will see your classmates face to face like we are doing now, and the class will conduct as though like it's a face to face class as much as we can, yeah. So the good thing is obviously with technological advancements and advancements these days, like for example Zoom, you can still split student into small groups. You can still do activities. Yeah, you can still do voting polls or activities within the Zoom environment. So yeah, it's like if a student is studying in Sydney, the lecture will be in Sydney, Melbourne, and so on, and the class sizes will still remain and maintain the same class sizes. Yeah. So sometimes when students think that they're doing online, like we just put everyone that, let's say,
centralized.
Yeah, exactly. So for example, a subject 401, we technically can just put one lecturer to do an online class to 150 students, but that's not, yeah, that's not how we're doing it. We are still doing it very much like a classroom environment, small class sizes. Students get the opportunity in a small class size to obviously ask questions, obviously engage a little bit more. So very much so like a physical class, yeah.
That's great, and it makes it more personal for sure. So next would be from Anisul, who's a good agent from Bangladesh. He asking the KBS Master of Accounting program is suitable for students from any academic background, but considering GTE, what would you advise to do in that situation? Let's say they studied engineering before, or IT before, and then they're going to do Master of Accounting. Even though it's a level 1 provider, would you still exercise a little bit of caution if they're changing, even though it's acceptable admission-wise, but for visa-wise, would you be a little bit cautious about that?
Yes, certainly. I think that one is a tricky one, because again, different markets might have different sort of views on that. Even the High Commission have different views on that. But typically, if a student can really justify why they are making the change. So for example, I've seen students with no accounting background, but the work area or the study area that they are typically not study, but the work that they've been doing the past 2 to 3 years have been related to accounting. And they can justify how, by doing this accounting course, how they can advance in their career in that particular area. Then that would be the main thing to address that GTE concern. The other point that I want to mention is that even if your student has accounting background or accounting studies before, because I think I mentioned our Masters of Professional Accounting is designed for those kind of students, whereas Masters of Accounting is for students from any background. But if a student has accounting experience, for example, did their accounting degree back home, they can still apply for Masters of Accounting. Because that one will be the 2-year course which enable them to get 2 years post-study work rights. But with the original question, yes, I think the justification of how that course can help them, it will get really tricky if the student has zero relevance at all. Like let's say the student has been in, I don't know, had been an engineer, has been doing engineering work, has studied engineering before, and has nothing related to accounting, then that one will be a difficult push to justify why. But a lot of students that I come across, typically they have some sort of work involvement in the accounting area, in the accounting industry, in that space, to help them justify why they want to come and study accounting with us. Yeah.
Understood. It would be a little bit easier, like you mentioned before, doing an MBA. Like you said, if you have a different background in bachelor, like engineering, but then you want to, kind of really upskill yourself in management.
Exactly.
And then, you could make the argument that you would come back home and then maybe help out with family company or your own company, but have that, still have that engineering background, but then apply that
Yes.
with MBA.
Yes, certainly. Like yeah. So like I said, like since having specialization, I think we do attract a lot of students from different backgrounds. In fact, I think we done a survey a year ago about our MBA, and most of our students are not coming from purely business backgrounds. Yeah, they are coming from different areas that they see that by doing an MBA, they can obviously a different skill set to complement their first degree or their work experiences that they already have. Yes. And like engineering would be a good example, IT, marketing background. Yeah.
Next question is about scholarship, but I believe he asked that question before you mentioned. So I think Jumbei, I think Yong went through the school fees, which are very, very reasonable, very affordable compared to other providers in Australia. And as he mentioned, there's those the merit scholarship and the Asia scholarship as well. So that's quite good. Jumbei asked as well about IELTS requirement for master and bachelor. Could you repeat that again?
Okay, yeah, sure. So maybe I'll quickly share my screen again just to show the website. Okay, let's begin here. So entry requirements. So the short answer to that is IELTS. It's actually quite easy to remember. IELTS 6.0 equivalent. Yeah, for all our master's courses. With 6 in speaking and 6 in writing. Okay, so as I highlight here, so IELTS Academic 6, all postgraduate courses have the same one. IELTS 6, no less 6 for speaking and writing. The main reason is, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of our, in fact, all of our postgraduate courses are workshop classes. Okay, so that's why speaking needs to be at a good level to make sure when the student comes in the class, they are up to speed with the discussions. They can sort of confidently interact with their lecturers as well as their peers. So speaking and writing is a minimum 6, and the rest can be 5.5, but overall it's a 6.0 equivalent. And this is the same with our bachelor degree. The only different one which is our diploma, which is 5.5. Yeah. So like I said, it's quite easy to remember. All 6 except for diploma 5.5.
Perfect. I think that's covered there. What I wanted to, since I'm in Vietnam right now, and we've got a few Vietnamese agents here today, and you've been to Vietnam before to market for KBS. So what's your take on the Vietnam market, and what are students from Vietnam applying for mostly at KBS? And how about the Vietnamese students and how they perform at KBS too, and what kind of internships do they like to get?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, great. I think Vietnam is actually actually our largest market within Southeast Asia. Yeah,
Yes.
and again, it is one of our markets that we have a very good diversity in terms of what students are studying. For example, we have almost 50-50 split between undergrad and postgraduate from Vietnam. Yeah, and what we find with the Vietnamese students is that they typically need some time to warm up with the internships, especially. They typically do the internships later in the course, but more on our postgraduate Vietnamese students will take on an internship, and a lot of them are in the accounting area as
Great. Yeah.
from the stats that we see. But yeah, we do have
so
a
do they
really
like to go to do they like to go to like some of the big four accounting firm? Like how hard is it to get like an internship at like PwC or KPMG?
Yep, PwC and KPMG and CPA actually take interns every year from us. Yeah, so again, we really go back to the student's background, and typically, I'll be honest, with these bigger firms, typically they want students that already have some accounting work experience before. Okay, and what we find is that our postgraduate students typically have that. Just to manage expectation with undergraduate students, typically we will advise them to go into a sort of medium to smaller enterprises in accounting roles, just to get that work experience first, and then maybe in the future come back to us and we will look for different opportunities with the bigger firms. But for example, KPMG and PwC, before the pandemic happened, like they actually come to our campuses twice a year to do a presentation about their firm. Yeah, and basically pick up the top sort of student interns, and typically, if I'm correct, nationally we actually have about 15 to 20 interns each year for both of these companies, and most of them are in Brisbane, Sydney, and Melbourne.
Understood. That's great. So I think we have another question here. Let me go through. That's it. No, that's it. That's it for now. So yeah, Vietnam is one of your biggest market. What about from South Asia? So like Nepal, India, Pakistan. I believe that's comprises a big source of your students as well. Where do students from South Asia, what courses do they like to study at KBS?
Yes, for South Asia, I think by far they're coming into our MBA. I think yeah, it's a much more skewed split in terms of undergraduate versus postgraduate. I believe it's about 70-30, 70% are in our postgraduate programs. Our MBA has been a really popular option for them. Like I said, since introducing the specialization, especially students from South Asia, which sometimes go through a bit more in terms of GT assessments to get here. The specialization really gives them a lot of justification of why they want to do that particular MBA and specialize in that area. But besides that, our Masters of Accounting is still holding quite good numbers from that region. But I would say our MBA is by far the most popular with them, and we see that a lot of them coming into project management as well as health services management for a lot of Nepalese students, in particular because it's big with the nursing students there, and a lot of them actually do the MBA in health services management.
Understood. So there's quite a big skew of international students from South Asia doing the MBA. What would you say to our South Asia partners listening today that maybe their students could consider to do bachelor at Kaplan?
Yeah. So obviously, if I think if your students are looking for a more affordable and more sort of nurturing environment, I think that's what we've tried to focus, especially for the undergraduate students. Yeah. So sometimes coming to a new country, obviously, it's not easy. And let's say a bachelor student, you're looking at someone that is what, 18, 19, 17 to 19 years old, just finished high school, wanting to go overseas. Sometimes stepping into again, I'm not saying universities are not good. It's just that sometimes stepping into an environment that you're walking into a lecture hall with 200 students, a massive campus can be overwhelming. Okay, so what we offer
Yes,
for them,
absolutely.
yeah, so what we offer for them is a much more nurturing environment. When you come to campus, the student services will actually greet you by name. They will probably know you
Mm.
after a few weeks and give you that additional attention, additional support to make sure that students are really settling well, really sort of uh, yeah, give them a bit of the attention just to make sure
Yes.
that they fit in. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Well, I can see we've gone a little bit over time. So, and I think all the questions have been answered. So once again, Yong, thank you so much for your support and your presentation today. And I hope everyone got a lot out of it. And if you had any more questions, just let me know, or Johnny or Niranjan or anyone in the team. You can let us know, and we'll get back to you. You know, Kaplan Business School is one of our great partners, and we know Kaplan very well, so we'll be sure to let you know about that or any other information. So yeah, thank you once again, Yong, and we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, thanks, Bo, and thanks to the rest of the Yes Education team as well. And thank you everyone that attended today, and hopefully that was useful. And yeah, I'm
Great,
sure we'll be in touch.
fantastic, and stay safe.
Stay safe. Yeah. All right.
Okay, thank
Thanks.
you, Yong.
Bye.
Bye bye.